Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to another episode of Gala Loves Everything. And this episode is about living as your future self with your bestie. And I love this concept so much. I'm very big on visualizing how and who and where you want to be, and then taking those concrete steps in order to get there. I think that a lot of people spend a lot of time maybe visualizing, but then not taking the actual steps to make something happen. And that, to me, is a slight waste of energy, because you will be amazed by how far you go when you act quickly, rather than waiting for things to be perfect and waiting for things to be right and waiting to be ready. I really think that the idea of being ready is a myth. It's a false concept. There is no such thing as ready. You just decide that you're going to do it regardless. And there's no way of readying yourself for these big life changes, because you have no idea what's coming. You don't know what to anticipate because you've never been there before. So really and truly, the best way to step into your future self is to start doing it immediately, because as you're in that future self zone, you're going to attract the experiences, the people, the scenarios that your future self is going to be in. So I was talking to my best friend Shauna the other day, and she said, I have this goal for us. And I was like, I'm all ears. Tell me all about it. And she was like, I think that we should have a quantum leap meetup every month. And I was like, please continue. And I'm going to read you what she said. I copied and pasted it so that I'm not bastardizing her words. You're getting exactly what she said. She said, my future self goal for us is once monthly outings to a show or concert or gallery and staying in a boutique hotel, just to stay inspired and to dress up, because I know we're going to accomplish 5 things. We're going to get visually inspired. We're going to take beautiful photos and videos to use for content. We're going to support an artist of some kind by buying tickets. We're going to appreciate new surroundings and swap ideas about what we've learned. And then in parentheses, she put apps, podcasts, classes, celebrity Wikipedia facts. And I love this idea so much. So let me tell you a little bit about what this really means. Shauna and I talk a lot about the idea of the future self and the ideal future self, because she and I are both manifestors in human design, and we're very big on visualizing, like, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And one of the ways, like I said, to really get into that is to step into it, and step into it before you're ready. And that can feel scary or intimidating, or like you're not exactly sure what to do or how to do that. And so it's really helpful to have a friend that's on the same page as you. So my suggestion is that you text your BFF like right now and you say, hey, are you down to do a quantum leap meetup every month? And I'm sure they'll be like, fuck yes. So it's you might be kind of like, okay, well, what is my future self? I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to do that. How do I conceptualize my future self? What does that look like? I don't know where to start. And one of the things that I would really suggest is that you start to create yourself a Pinterest board of the way that you want to dress, the attitude that you want to convey, the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. You know, you might want to be working big, long days and working with lots of clients or whatever, or you might want to be working a life where you work in creative bursts and then you take long periods of rest. Everybody is different. We really all do want to work and operate in a different way. And something that we're investigating in the Vortex Iconic this year, shameless plug, is that we are creating this vision of our iconic future self, putting a name to it, and then really bringing that into our reality. So if you're unsure about what your future self is, I recommend start looking at Pinterest and getting some ideas. And then if you feel called to, join us in the Vortex Iconic, because I'm literally stepping you through this. Every month, we go into it in more and more detail, and it's extremely fun and joyful. But so, okay, let's say that you've established to some degree or another what your future self is or looks like or how you want it to feel, right? So now you're like, okay, what does a quantum leap meetup look like? So I will tell you about the last Quantum Leap meetup that Shauna and I had, and it might get your gears going. And obviously, this is not something that you have to copy or do exactly the same as us. You are your own free person. You get to do what you want. But this might inspire you in some ways. So we did this last month. I said to her, there is some comedy shows happening in LA that I'd really like to go to. Do you want to come with me? And Shauna has never been to a comedy show before, really had no idea what that would even look like. It was a completely foreign thing for her, but she is always up for an adventure, and she was like, okay, let's do it. So she came to my house in Orange County, and we drove together to Los Angeles. And I packed myself a little suitcase because we were literally there overnight. This was not a long stay. This was one night, which made me realize I could be doing this all the time. Like, this is really easy. So I packed a suitcase of only clothing that I felt really good in. So when you think about your ideal future self, for me, that version of me is not wearing like baggy sweats and an oversized t-shirt. I love to wear that stuff, especially when like my fake tan is drying or I've had a really long day and I just want to take some CBD and lie down. But my ideal future self is her most polished, glamorous self. And so even though I was tempted to like throw some sweatpants into the suitcase, I didn't. And I packed a really small suitcase, which helped me because then I had to be very intentional about my choices. And the clothing that I packed was stuff that I felt really good in, but there was also a little bit of a stretch for me. So I packed like 2 pairs of heels and 1 pair of sneakers, as opposed to like 3 pairs of sneakers and 1 pair of heels, because I wanted to push myself to wear heels more often because I feel like my best self when I'm wearing heels, right? So it was like making these little choices of what would future Gala want to do. Okay, so let's step into that reality now. And that does often mean making the slightly uncomfortable choice. Now, the idea is obviously not to torture yourself. When I say uncomfortable, I mean something that's not as familiar, something that is a little outside of the realm of what you normally do, just so that you can stretch, right? The idea is to stretch and expand, and you're going to be doing this in small increments all the time. And you're going to stretch and expand throughout every Quantum Leap meetup in little ways, right? It's not like all of a sudden something's going to like explode. It's like these little incremental stretches and expansions that are going to build up to being that life that you've always envisioned. So we went to our favorite hotel, which is the Cara Hotel. It's in a weird, dodgy area, but it's so beautiful. And I always tell people to go there when they're in LA because it is like this beautiful sanctuary. It's kind of like an Italian convent meets the Greek islands, and it's stunning. It's stunning. They have a beautiful restaurant in the center of it with amazing food. And it's just a lovely, lovely experience. It is like a little slice of Italy/Greece in the middle of Los Angeles, which I know sounds wild. It's so great. The rooms aren't huge, but they're perfect. And you're not going to spend a lot of time in your room anyway. Like, that's not the plan. So anyway, we stayed at our favorite hotel, and we went to Erewhon, and where Shauna had never been there, and I made her buy a $17 smoothie, and we looked at some shops, we bought some clothes, we went to a comedy show, and we really were just living this experience of like, what does it feel like to be our future selves right now, right here? And one of the things that was so interesting to me was I was wearing all pink, and that was what I had decided I would do, was wear all pink the whole time that I was there. And not in a way that like, this is a costume and I have to force this, but just in a way that like, I know that when I wear pink clothing is when I feel my best. And we were at breakfast the next morning, and the amount of people that came over to me to say that they just loved my outfit was ridiculous. And the same happened the day before. And it's not the pink and it's not the clothes. It's the energy that I'm emanating when I wear something that I feel truly good in. And that's what being your future self is about. It is about stepping into that place of real confidence and having the I guess, courage and bravery to just do what you've always wanted to do. And so many of us play it safe in these little ways, right? Like maybe we don't want to upgrade our car because I'm kind of, used to this and it's fine. Or we don't want to go to the nice restaurant for dinner because what if we feel out of place there? Or we don't want to wear something that's going to attract too much attention because what if the attention's uncomfortable, or what if it's the wrong kind of attention? Like what if someone yells something from a car window? Like what are you going to do, right? But it is these little things, like I was saying, these little stretches, these little steps that are going to build up to that beautiful life that you've always wanted. So that was what we did. That was our Quantum Leap meetup. And it was like we dressed as our future selves. We conducted ourselves as our future selves. We did things that were new and different. And we both went home feeling so inspired. And I don't know what your situation with your best friend is like. For me, Shauna lives in Palm Springs while I'm in Orange County. So we're 2 hours apart, which is not that much, especially considering when we first met online, I was in New Zealand and she was in Oregon. So we're much closer now than we ever were, but we still don't get to see each other all the time. So for us, it was like we got to spend time together, dress as our future selves, and also trade information on things that we were thinking about in business and apps that we were using and new habits that we had. And, Shauna is very big on journaling now. She started doing morning pages like maybe a year or so ago. It was something that Colin Bedell told me about. Colin is Queer Cosmos online. Is an amazing astrologer. You should absolutely follow him. Obviously morning pages is a thing from the artist's way, but Colin was like, I do this every day. And I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. I started doing it. I told Shauna about it. And now Shauna, like ultimate Virgo that she is like off to the races with stationery and journals and planners. And every time I see her, she has like 5 journals. They're all for a different thing. And I was telling her about the way that I stack my habits and the way that I monitor my habits. And then she decided she was going to handwrite hers in this planner. And so we trade tips about all those kind of things. And we came away from that, even though it was literally one night together, feeling so inspired and so invigorated in a way that we wouldn't if I had just stayed in my house and watched TV and she had stayed at her house and watched TV. So it's very important that we do these little things that are going to stretch us so that we have these new experiences, because there's only so much growth that you can do sitting in your house doing the same thing over and over again. It is so imperative to get out of your house, see new things, be around new people, have different experiences. Like I've always said that my life, it's my job basically to make my life really juicy and exciting, because that is what feeds my inspiration. And so then I have things to talk to you guys about, to write books about, to teach classes on. But if I just stay in my house, there's no new inspiration. There's no new ideas. I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. And so no matter what you do for a job and no matter what your lifestyle is like, it is so important that you do these little things. So maybe, there's a big city that's like a couple of hours away that you could go and spend time in, but you don't because you don't have anyone to go with, or like you're not sure what to do when you get there. Make yourself a plan that you're going to do a Quantum Leap meetup every month, and take a friend with you and just tell them like, we're going to be our future selves. And this doesn't mean you're going to spend money that you don't have. It doesn't mean that you're going to do something that's going to land you in some kind of financial trouble. It just means you're going to show up as this future version of you. This version of you that you envision for the next 5 years. How does she act? How does she move? How does she walk? How does she speak to people? How does she conduct herself? How does she spend her time? And, is she on her phone all the time? Probably not. I fucking hope not. Or is she like out living life, engaging with people, having real interactions, real moments? We just spent basically 2 years stuck inside. Like, this is your perfect opportunity to like get all that like hermity, homebody fucking energy out of your system and go and do something different. So anyway, that is the Quantum Leap meetup. And I would love to hear from you guys about your experiences doing it with your besties, or even if you decide to do it on your own. Pick a day and be like, okay, today's the day that I'm my future self. I'm going to have a fucking blast. Let's go do this. And I swear that this is going to catapult you to your next level. Because unless you dabble in this, right? Unless you put your finger in the sauce of your future self and go, and taste it and be like, needs more salt, a little bit less parsley or whatever, you're never going to know. So we have to take the action so that we can really feel into the future self and be like, is this the right path for me or is it not? And I think that you're going to find that it just makes you feel so good. And that really, to me, is the whole purpose. It's like, what can I do to feel good? Well, I can stretch myself, and that is going to make me feel good, ultimately. So that's it for this episode. Enjoy your Quantum Leap meetups. I can't wait for my next one. Shauna and I are going to go to La Jolla and stay in a pink hotel. I am so excited. So stay tuned. I'll be keeping you updated. And I love you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Mwah.